Here are 20 interesting facts about North Dakota you may not know. North Dakota has the poor distinction as the least visited state of the lower contiguous states, and is often the last state people visit when visiting all 50 states, even among Alaska and Hawaii. It's unfortunate too, because North Dakota has some great tourist attractions. Its biggest tourist draw are the Badlands and the broader Theodore Roosevelt National Park. The town of Medora has become a major tourist destination, chiefly for its highly praised Medora musical. Medora is soon to be home to the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Museum too. Many others would enjoy the beautiful serenity of the International Peace Gardens, historic sites like Fort Abraham Lincoln, where General Custer was posted, or the many roadside attractions like the Enchanted Highway. It's also a fishing and hunting haven. The land housing the North Dakota State Capitol and other state buildings, including the governor's residence, located southwest of the Capitol, was gifted by the Northern Pacific Railway with the intended purpose of housing a capital, then for Dakota Territory, when the capital was relocated from Yankton. Turns out, it was the site of Bismarck's first cemetery, known as Boot Hill Cemetery, then about a mile north of city limits. At least 50 bodies were unearthed when the original capital was constructed between 1883 and 1884, and an additional 13 when a streetcar line was constructed in the early 1900s, connecting the capital to downtown. 5 more were discovered when a new governor's residence was constructed there in 1959. Because the graves were unmarked, it isn't known how many bodies were buried there, or how many remain. Considering Bismarck was averaging 1 murder per day during his untamed early years, it's safe to assume it's more than the 68 discovered. Park on any street in North Dakota, and the one thing you will never find is a parking meter. That's because parking meters have been banned in North Dakota since 1948, when it appeared on a signature-initiated ballot. North Dakota is the only state with such a ban. It was considered an unfair tax by many of its citizens, especially in rural areas, who advocated that it created disparities between rich and poor. Major cities unsuccessfully challenged the law, and it was briefly repealed in 1951, only to be upheld again by voters. North Dakota is known as an agricultural state. It's a top producer of several crops, including multiple types of wheat, producing about half of the country's spring wheat, flaxseed, sunflower, and canola. What many may not know is North Dakota is also the top honey-producing state in the nation, yielding almost 40 million pounds of honey in 2023, double that of the second and third largest honey producers combined. North Dakota is also the nation's second largest sugar beet producer, behind only neighboring Minnesota. You might not associate waterfront property with North Dakota, but if you exclude states that border the Gulf, ocean, or a Great Lake, North Dakota is the state with the second most water surface area of any other, behind only Utah and its Great Salt Lake. This is partly because North Dakota is home to the nation's second largest man-made lake by area, Lake Sakakawea, formed by damming the Missouri River in the early 1950s. Since the Cold War, North Dakota has been critical to national security. There are 2 U.S. Air Force bases in the state, one located in Minot and one in Grand Forks. Their locations were considered strategic positions to counter potential Soviet threats approaching from the north. North Dakota has a vast nuclear arsenal as well. In fact, if the state were its own country, it would have been the 3rd largest nuclear power in the world at its peak. North Dakota is the geographic center of North America, a title the city of Rugby proudly touts, with a monument placed there in 1931. Apparently, the geographic center moved with the highway, because the obelisk marking the center was relocated to be closer to US Highway 2 in 1971. Regardless, the geographic center is indeed in North Dakota. Whether or not it's inside Rugby is up to interpretation. The first mosque in the United States is said to have been built by homesteaders from Syria and Lebanon in 1929 in Montreal County. While there were previous mosques in the country, this was the first built specifically for that purpose. It was demolished in 1979 after falling into disrepair, but reconstructed in 2005. The inventor of the portable camera using rolled film, David Henderson Houston, was a North Dakota farmer. He patented the concept a decade before rolled film itself was even invented. When deciding on a name, he shuffled the words Dakota and added the letter K to form Kodak. He later sold his patent and trademark to George Eastman. With 1.8 million head of cattle and a human population of less than 800,000, there are more cattle than people in North Dakota. There are also more registered vehicles than humans in the state. While both South Dakota and Montana have overall bigger populations than North Dakota, if you add up the top 5 population centers from each state, North Dakota's are the most populated. With Montana, it's easy to see this lead on the surface. Comparing South Dakota is a bit more complicated. Looking at only the cities themselves, they are basically a tie, with South Dakota's 5 biggest cities only having 4,000 more combined residents. But North Dakota's 2 biggest cities have populated sister cities. West Fargo, especially, is North Dakota's 5th most populated city in its own right, larger even than South Dakota's 3rd most populated. That's not accounting for Moorhead on the Minnesota side of the Red River either. Bismarck's twin city, Mandan, is almost as populated as South Dakota's 3rd most populated city. These also don't account for the thousands of people living on North Dakota's 2 Air Force bases just outside Minot and Grand Forks. When looking at entire metropolitan areas, which moves Williston into the 5th most populated statistical area for North Dakota, since West Fargo is part of Fargo's metropolitan, North Dakota's combined top 5 population centers are the biggest of this tri-state region, despite being the state with the lowest population among them. The lead South Dakota's top 2 cities have over North Dakota's becomes marginal. What's also interesting is the geographic disbursement of the top population centers of each state. In South Dakota, with the exception of Rapid City, all of its most populated cities are located on the east, whereas North Dakota's top cities are much more spread out. North Dakotans' median age of 35.4, according to the 2020 census, is among the lowest in the country, ranked the 4th lowest of the 50 states. Unlike neighboring states, where the median age is either stagnant or on the rise, the median age in North Dakota decreased significantly from 2012 until 2019. This is attributed to the oil boom, bringing in young laborers to work the oil fields. While it has slightly increased since, it's still far below its peak high. Nicknamed Skyscraper on the Prairie, North Dakota's capital is not only the tallest capital in the United States, it is the tallest building between Minneapolis and Billings, going east to west, and from the Canadian border to Omaha, going north and south. Even aside from the state capital, North Dakota has 4 other buildings taller than South Dakota's tallest, with the remainder being located in Fargo and Grand Forks. Minot has one with more floors, but its overall height is shorter. The Capitol is also the 5th newest state capitol building, completed in 1934. That's because its original capitol was destroyed by fire in 1930. Speaking of tall, from 1963 until 1974, and again from 1991 to 2008, North Dakota was home to the world's tallest man-made structure, the KVLY television tower. It remained the tallest man-made structure in the Western Hemisphere until 2019, when its highest antenna was removed, demoting this distinction. Far from Silicon Valley, it may surprise some to learn that tech is one of North Dakota's top economic sectors, next to agriculture, energy, and healthcare. Specifically, Microsoft has a strong presence in Fargo, where it was once Microsoft's 2nd largest campus, outside of only Redmond, Washington. In 2001, Microsoft acquired Great Plains Software based out of Fargo from Doug Burgum for just over $1 billion. Burgum has since served as North Dakota's governor and is currently serving as Secretary of Interior for President Trump, after making a run for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024. North Dakota is one of the leading energy states in the nation, producing large quantities of oil, natural gas, and coal, in addition to being a leader in wind energy. North Dakota is now the 2nd highest oil-producing state, behind only Texas. Oil was first discovered in North Dakota in the 1950s. It ranks 11th in the United States for natural gas production, most of which collected as a byproduct of its oil production. Discovered in the 1870s, North Dakota possesses the largest deposit of lignite coal in at least North America, and some sources say the largest in the world. Perfect fuel for those steam locomotives of the past that helped form the state. North Dakota has 2,200 wind turbines. That's because it is the 4th windiest state in the nation. What interesting fact about North Dakota did I miss? I'll continue the series in another video. Be sure to like and subscribe to support future content.